So I like that trickeration where we popped up on the screen for a split second. I don't no idea what happened there. Hopefully y'all can hear me and not Bob Does Sports on my TV in the living room, because I have that on so my dogs don't drive me nuts. So if y'all can hear that in the background, let me know. I'll go turn it down. So
I think you're
Brian,
good.
how are you doing today, sir? Let me go ahead and pull our names up here, as per usual. I forget. There we are. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Just did a virtual tour of a house about 30 minutes ago, so I'm getting excited.
How are
you doing?
How are the virtual tours? That's got to be interesting.
Well, this one was a new build, brand new house, so those are a little bit better. There's less, deficiencies with paint or maybe a nail popping through here and there. We did one on a house last week, put an offer in, and then the seller was a total psycho, so we pulled our offer, and it's a grind, man. It's a grind.
Yeah.
We're going down next week, though, so
get a good inspection on the newer builds, because they can do some shoddy work with the cookie cutter homes. But
yes,
still wishing you the best of luck there. First comment, clowns. Okay, Ron T. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I meant to turn my light down and I accidentally turned it off. Ron T, coming out with the clowns. I love it. Coming out with the energy that we need. We need that aggressive, dismissive energy on the show for sure. Appreciate Ron T hopping in here early. Welcome, Logan Holgerson, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Holgerson. Ron T can hear us. Not Bob Does Sports. Perfect. Let's FG. Let's field goal. That's right. Let's field goal, baby.
Agreed.
Go Big Red. What's up, William? Appreciate you hopping here. We'd love to see Harburg use more. How about punt returns? We can dive into that in a second. I don't know about that though. I don't know. Just buy me a handful of home game tickets. Let's go. Dylan could be the best in football. Oh yeah, and I put this out on X. I don't know if I put it on here, but I will be able to go to the Michigan game after all. Due to a parting of ways with my coach, now my flight's going to be pushed back. So I'll leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that. Maybe I'll speak at a later date. But Husker Wrestling, appreciate you, Joseph. Love you too, Ron. Appreciate you always being here, man. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into it. So I want to start off the top. We had just talked about it off rip. We'll talk about this in a second. Question for you guys: is it weird that a punter is a great runner and passer, like Rhule said? It's a fantastic thing. Not weird. But I'm going to go ahead and let you start, because I want to open this with the injuries for the people that don't know who's out with what, etc. Can you give an update on that?
The main ones to be concerned about would be Gabe Moore being limited just for defensive tackle depth. Jalen George is limited. He's coming back from off-season shoulder surgery. He got hurt like a week after arriving from the portal, tore his labrum, so he's going to be out for a little bit while longer, but him being out hurts a little bit. Turner Corcoran's still limited. Roger Gradney is out. Not a huge impact one, not one I'm overly worried about. I didn't think he was going to play this year anyways, just because of that injury. But it's worth noting that I believe it was spring or fall last year, he had that really brutal knee injury, and he and Demetrius Bell are still out and recovering from those knee injuries. And we talked about it with somebody on X. I think Rhule is just very cautious about knee injuries in particular, really taking their time with recovery. Neither of these guys are going to be huge impact players for Nebraska this year, so it's not a huge concern from my perspective, although I think everyone is really excited to see Bell. It's okay that we have to take our time with him right now. We have good depth at that wide receiver spot. Malcolm Simpson, he was a guy I think we were probably kind of penciling in on the 3 deep at defensive tackle, defensive end. Got all the way up to 285, but he's out now. He has a shoulder injury after arriving to campus, so don't know when he's going to be out. Jamarian Parker is still kind of TBD right now. We don't know his situation. We don't know his injury. We don't know when he's going to be back, but he is out. And then Juju Marks was another one. I'm not worried about Juju Marks personally. He was going to redshirt anyways this year, probably at best play in 2, 3, 4 games. But I believe one of his friends works for me at my current job. I believe he said he tore something in his shoulder. It could be wrong, but
are you waiting to drop the hammer on me? Let's go. No.
And that's it. That's the main ones I've noticed.
Quentin Ives is out.
Did they say that today?
He
came up hobbling on a drill.
He pulled up his on his hamstring, and that I mean, a hamstring is not going to go away quickly. So he's going to be down for a pretty good little bit of time, because Rhule's even talking about soft tissue injuries. And I think that's what we're about to go into anyways, just talking about kind of these talking about the 6-day ramp up period. Well, it's like a 7-day with the 7th day being rest.
Yeah.
We talked about it as a 6-day kind of ramp up period for them. And talked about the importance of kind of like, the ramp up of it, but over the course of that week, plus they have the 7th day of rest. And the reason that's important is because he talked about going from week 1 to week 2. The reason that's the biggest time that those soft tissue injuries flare up. And that's specifically because 1 week is not enough to fully ramp up to, the pace that they necessarily need to. So they can use that 6 days to ramp up as much as possible. But in a way, it's still a little bit too early and it still a little bit gets to that overuse phase because they're trying to push them still to the limitations without kind of overdoing it. And then coming off of that rest day, those soft tissue injuries, if they're overworked, then they try to explode. And that's where you get, the muscle tears because the muscles are tight, or weak because they haven't recovered, et cetera. So that's why those are so common between weeks 1, week 2. So it's a way to kind of efficiently kind of challenge them, ramp them up slowly, but try to limit as much as that overtraining, overuse as possible. So they got to be pretty locked on and dialed with it. But but he talked about kind of using that time to establish kind of that standard of effort. That's what he used a lot. The word effort a lot. Said they didn't have a lot of time to coach it, but competition requires them to play hard. They got guys in there that are going to push them, and so they got to go in there, and that's where the young guys can stand up and show out. In these things where you're expecting the veterans to be the guys that come out and play hard and set the tone, and maybe a couple of these young guys kind of rear their head up and raise the eyebrows of the coaches. But he did talk about leaning on the older players as well. But yeah, main tone of a lot of this was focusing on things they can control. And when I put in the title, it has a winning tone. I'll get into that a little bit more in detail here in a little bit, and comparatively to what he was talking about 23, 24, and how that tone has shifted night and day, and how we're getting hints at the way he talks about certain subjects, even the team drills where they split up into teams, like those things. There's a lot of nuance to what he's saying. That's just kind of shows that, and even him calling the team really good, at a later time, just shows kind of where they stand with this team. So yeah, what were your thoughts over on that?
I really liked, you hinted at it or talked about it already, but just the tone about setting the standards, the expectations. And right now it's just about doing everything with the maximum amount of effort and energy as possible, because it creates good working habits. And that's the whole purpose of it, this reacclimation period. Big fan of that type of just real simple things, but those simple things, they stack up so much over the course of an entire fall camp. They're going to do some stuff like situational work, 2-minute drill, red zone formation stuff, but that's neither here nor there. The way I look at it, it's just about giving effort, big time. I think Rhule has big time expectations for this program. I think behind locked doors or closed doors, he's probably telling this team we need to be pushing for the Big Ten Big Ten championship this year. There's just a different vibe right now with Rhule in this program.
Yeah, and kind of like you were talking about with them pushing them and the effort out there, like that's the way they can breed the mental toughness. The only way they can do that is if they don't come out, they don't get a lot of time with these guys between now and the season. So there's no time. That's kind of why he has that mentality, and it has since 2023. There's no time for guys to lag behind. You got to be up to par, ready to go. And I think that's why they put a lot of guys through the mental stuff that they do too. And the winter mat drills and all that stuff, kind of building towards this moment and seeing who stayed in shape, who those guys are going to come in and push themselves, who spent the time working on, talks about knowing your X's and O's and stuff like that when you come in, knowing your responsibility, mastering the basics, learning, poise and kind of, he was talking about learning poise in a lot of these guys and drilling it until it becomes habit. So You know, a lot of these young guys coming in can, like I said, can make a name for themselves, and I think that's part of why they like this. But and then, you know, with the players policing players, you know, that's another thing that we'll go to in here in a little bit. But I just think it's more so like these guys are pushing each other so much that the staff really kind of just can sit back and put their hands up and kind of observe, you know?
It's really a player-led program now, and this is 3 years now in the making. And this is kind of, not to say that Rhule's going to be the next Tom Osborne, but this is very much at how the program was ran under Tom Osborne. They had the players council or whatever, that was your basically final line before things went up to Osborne for disciplinary action. So Nebraska's got a similar structure now with Coach Rhule, with this players council. And it's like with the dorm room situation. Last year, the coaches were living in the dorms. This year, they're not. It's the players. And that was at the players' request, because they want to be able to hold each other accountable to a certain standard, a certain expectation. And when you get the player-led programs, everything can start getting put into motion. That's how you can become a dominant program that's winning 9, 10, 11 games, which 9 doesn't seem like a lot now, but it is in this new world of college football. 9 wins 10 years ago was not, it was a pretty good season. Got Bo Pelini fired. Now 9 wins is pretty damn good.
Yeah, well, we can talk a little bit more about the conversation culture shift and stuff like that here in a little bit too. Speaking through some of the player performances and players that he mentioned, specifically, you know, they asked about the running back room and Mekhi getting a lot of love. You know, Mekhi, he talked about him being the most explosive, you know, one of the most explosive guys on the team. And, you know, when we talked to Rashawn Nelson, his dad, about it, you know, he told us about a lot of that and what he has to work on. And he mentioned kind of the completeness, working on the pass blocking. And I think he also echoed that on X, in a conversation we were in. And that, you know, that's always something that his son can work on as a smaller back. And so Rhule kind of echoed the need for whoever's going to be in those positions to be those complete type of backs, to be able to fill in, you know, if Quentin isn't able to go, or if Quentin kind of that nags him throughout the year. So it sounds like, you know, Mekhi is definitely making his way up in there, and they're just kind of looking to make sure that he continues to develop that completeness about him. And I think, you know, he's probably the running back 2 without a doubt, you know, if Ives is out. And even if Ives is in, who knows, he may even be the RB2 on that depth chart, depending on how that comes along.
The ability to pick up the rush as a running back is literally why some players will play over others. I can't remember who it was a handful of years ago, but there was a guy in our running back room, and everyone kept saying, man, why does this dude not play? And it's like, because he can't pass block. He can't pick up the blitz. Can he run it? Absolutely. But when we're in a passing situation, we cannot have him on the field. And so it's everyone can improve in that area. From Mekhi as a smaller back, it's something that may be a little bit concerning, but I think I read that he was up to 200
He's stocky.
So
he's stocky. Like, he's strong.
He's just smaller in stature, but he's built very well built.
Yeah. And to be honest, like with that, you know, the main reason why is because naturally the element of surprise is gone. If you got a guy who can't pass block, then, you know, when he's on the field, you're running the ball. So, and there's going to be so many different things that, you know, they talked about that we know Dana Holgerson's going to do with this offense. And, you know, he does have the ability to catch the ball, which they're going to need to be able to do. And the reason why they're going to need to be able to pass block is because they're going to be used in a lot of situations where, you know, they kind of block and, you know, chip off and go. They're going to be doing stuff in situations where they need to have blocking down so they can be able to execute on the nuanced stuff. You know, just in case they're working on a block and moving off of it, you know, they need to be controlled and calm in that chaos. And so, you know, I think we talked about it with Rashawn, but like Mekhi does the dirty work, and he's a grinder at the end of the day. And so he's one of those guys that he's going to put the effort into it and probably grow in that regard. Quentin Ives is big enough to have an advantage in pass blocking, but you know, I like this running back room a lot. like we always say, it's just
Oh.
inexperience, but super, super talented, and the upsides there.
Yeah, my one concern is the hamstring with Quinton. I wasn't sure what happened exactly, and I didn't spend too much time researching it, to be honest. But now we know it's a hamstring.
That's at
I
least
can tell you those
what I've
things can
seen.
feel great. Like those things can feel great, and then you do one little cut, or maybe you, as you're launching on a run, it just tweaks. I mean, it can be crazy painful, and it can linger for a long time.
That's the hardest part about it, is you really don't know when it's back to 100%. And so with soft tissue injuries, like, they seem so minor, but those are the ones that you really have to like take their time getting them back. And then so he's going to be a little late maybe in this process as we get into the season. It may nag him to the season. Honestly, that's not crazy. That's not a crazy possibility. It can linger him into the season. Just depends on how smart they are with their recovery and how quick he's able to recover, and hopefully they time it correctly.
Do you remember when Tommy Armstrong pulled his hamstring and they taped that rod to the back of his leg to basically replicate the hamstring, and then he went out and played against, I believe it was Iowa.
That's nutty, dude. I
can't imagine that's a good idea though.
My mom ripped her hamstring off the bone. She sliced on a tomato at work, like a cartoon. She had to have surgery to get it reattached. She tried to go to work the next day. My mom's stubborn. She's a country girl, and with a bruise down the back of her leg, and she had to have it surgically attached. She was on like bed rest for a year, like on a hospital bed at the house. Question for you guys. All right, we can answer this question here. Is it weird that a punter is a great runner and passer, like Rhule said? Absolutely not. Like obviously for obvious reasons, like he mentioned, you can run the fake. I think what he wants right now between his offense, defense, and special teams is just like a mixed bag of what we could pull out. I think it's just like he's trying to just have a multiplicity of a lot of different things to throw at them and just kind of overwhelm teams and outsmart teams. And that's where I think he's so locked in on execution, because again, to execute these things in multiple aspects and these kind of different concepts, you have to have the basics down. I think that's why he's so focused on basics and execution in this conversation. But that's what he likes him for. He can go right, he can go left, and like he talked about, he can spin it. He can do different types of kicks. With spin on the ball. Like, I kind of think about it as like a pitcher. They have a changeup, they have a fastball, they have a slider. Kind of making the return man think a little bit more as that ball's coming to him.
Well, he's also a rugby player, so he's not your average punter per se. And rugby players have to be able to run, kick with both feet, and throw. Yep. So he's a unique athlete. I believe he's like 6'4".
He's big. Most of those I've seen most of those like taller. Are those like lengthier guys are always super tall.
Yeah. So it's
like the skinnier
it's
one.
Not unusual or weird in his case. Now, if it was just your average American punter, it'd probably be weird that they're pretty athletic, but he's not your average punter. Have you seen that video of him that rolling out and punting left-footed?
I think I have. It came out a while ago, right?
Well, this is one from practice yesterday.
Oh yeah, I saw the practice one. I thought you were talking about a different one.
He freaking launched that sucker.
Yeah, he nukes it. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, consistent with both feet. It's not like it's we can pull it out of our hat sometimes. Like, consistently could probably punt like every time with either foot.
I'm going to pull it up real quick here.
Just because that's the way you get the fine motor skills. You know what I'm saying? Like, you work fine motor skills in your opposite arm, you're going to be better at throwing stuff.
He's right here in the middle of our screen.
That's legendary. Can you back up, come back in? All right. We'll wait for him to get back in a second. I'm gonna try to dive into some of more y'all's comments. I think that's cool. The punters like that. Yeah, me too. Be sure to like the video. Thank you, Ron T. Appreciate you bringing that up. But yeah, and another thing, talking about that long little rollout, like, you can keep guys at bay a lot longer and hold on to that ball a little bit longer. Let's say time's running low on the clock and we need to run seconds off the clock. Like, those punters can roll out and just kind of hold that and those guys kind of got to be honest, between them, whether to run back and cover, and stuff like that. So there's so many benefits too, even in the nuance of the game that you can use them for. And then they can just like roll out and look to see if they want to pass or, just punt it,
We should try. I'm going to reach back out to Coach Bush, see if he can kind of explain the nuances to this, because this is, it opens up so many possibilities. I mean, you can call a design, right rollout punt.
Yeah.
But if you look up and you see their whole coverage bailing to cover, you can run. And he has the athletic ability to do so. And so, like,
keeps them
literally any play could be a fake punt at any given moment. It's going to be freaking insane to watch over the course of the next 4 years with them.
And do you feel like Matt Rhule talking about it today, like, we like to do fake punts? Like, I feel like he's trying to put some like seeds in people's head, of like, oh, now we got to really, expect this. Like, we got to prepare for all of these scenarios, and it's gonna make them think a lot more.
Yes, Rhule is very strategic with what he says, because it is like, even when we're playing like Houston Christian, they're going to run some stupid play that's going to work or not going to work, but they're going to put it on tape just so you have to prepare for it. I remember them saying that all the time last year with Heinrich Harburg. Like, there was plays where he was a wildcat, or you would have him line up at tight end, they throw it to Harburg or whatever. And he even said, we're doing that so that you have to waste your time on film. That's exactly why he made those comments about Archie Wilson.
Exactly. Yep. And that is the game within the game that I love about Matt Rhule. Like, there's no other reason for him to mention that other than like, we're trying to put it in your head that we like to do this, and we have a guy that we could use in many different ways. And he put out the intel on him about what all he's capable of. So that smart strategic there. We can go ahead and also talk about, let me see, I'm looking through my notes here. You just mentioned it, but I'm trying to remember what you just said after that. Talking about the tight end room, talking about Harburg. We saw a clip of Harburg looking pretty good. We saw a clip of was it a picture or a clip of Nelson? I can't remember.
There was a clip of him running up the sideline after a catch, and also a picture of him like walking to camp.
He's much bigger. Yeah. He looks more like a tight end now. But we got a laundry list of guys. I mean, we got so much talent. We got Mac Markway there. We got forgotten about kind of a little bit, trying to remember back, but wasn't he like a top 10 Rivals tight end back when he was recruited? And he missed his first year of or his last year of high school and was like still a top 10 tight end. I remember doing a lot of digging into him last year when we got him. So super impressive in terms of talent. Just got to keep him on the field. Yeah. Yeah.
He started at LSU.
Well, he started one game, but I think he played in all 12. I think he started 1 or 2 games, something like that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but yeah, so super talented. But like, I think he was a little bit forgotten about as a commodity. I think we see Carter Nelson kind of coming into his own physically, and we're kind of getting more confidence about him being able to play the position completely. And then of course Harburg, as athletic as it gets, so you kind of got, different types of guys, and then you got the depth of Lindenmeyer, and he's a very good tight end, and knowledgeable. So
who do you think comes out of that room?
Dude, it's so tough.
Guys.
It's so tough to say, because like, are they going to value the experience of, per se, I don't know, are they going to value the experience, or do they want the athleticism? Mac Markway, is going to be a guy who can, like he said, come out and move people, stop the run. They probably want a variation of those too. So I'm wondering if it's like Mac Markway and Nelson, and then Harburg. I don't know. It's really tough to say. It's going to be a matter of what they want in that room, but I think they want balance. So I think Nelson is probably a more complete tight end, maybe, if they feel like he's overall physically there. But I just also don't know the progress that Harburg's made specifically, and how close he is to being ready.
Yeah, I look at it as like Markway and Luke are going to be your inline tight ends, and then you'll have Harburg and Nelson basically as your slots. your slot receivers, or maybe you get them on the outside if you're trying to get a big size advantage. But you can't just do that because it'll give away your strategy very easily. So they'll probably rotate other positions, but primarily I would look for Markway and Luke to be your run blocking tight ends, but they'll release them on routes for sure.
Well, yeah, he was talking about, how quick Matt can run and stuff like that as well too. So yeah, they're going to plan on these guys being used in multiple ways and versatile again, just like everything else on this team is going to be. So, all right. So let's see. Video liked. I appreciate you the other day, back from vacation, ready for some Husker football talk. Where'd you go, Dave? You might have told us the other day, but I can't quite remember if you did. Not good that eyes went down. No, it's not. Definitely not. Shut up. Surprised Demetrius Bell's still out. Will he ever get back to 100%? Well, he will. I mean, I don't think we've heard of like any setbacks or anything like that. I just think it might be over cautionary because he's a young guy, They'd rather see him have longevity as opposed to re-aggravating it and then it becoming something that won't get back to 100%.
Yeah, I think for Bell's sake, if I had to give him a word of advice, it'd be patience is a virtue. Good things come to those who wait. Because for Nebraska's perspective, it is not an immediate, we have no slot receiver, right? You have Ja'Cory and you have Mills. And if need be, you can throw Isaiah Mosey out there. You have depth, you have talent at that position. You do not need to rush it.
I think they were prepared. I think they were prepared for him to be out.
Yeah. And I believe it was just an ACL. I don't believe it was a combo of an ACL and an MCL or a PCL.
I don't think it was either.
But they're just being abundantly cautious, which is what you should do.
Yep. So at this point, there's nothing indicating that he can't, So if Dylan can see and find the wide open receivers, we go 11-1. We'd probably go undefeated if he sees and hits every single open wide receiver. Hopefully the D-line guys can be back to come the thick. What? Hopefully the D-line guys can be back come the thick of the schedule. Okay, I'm the problem here, not your comment. But I still don't. Which guys?
I think he's talking about Gabe Moore and Jalen George.
Oh, just those guys.
They're limited right now. Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Gabe's is very minimal injury. Jalen's might, lead you into fall a little bit.
Exactly, but it's nothing too bad. I see YouTube is not giving notifications. Damn, that's tough, y'all. If y'all want to turn the bell icon on, I don't know how to do that, but if you click the bell, I think you can turn them on somehow. I should probably know this. Click the bell and hit notifications and something like that. If you click it, it'll step you there. Trust me. It says something the coach is allowing the players to stay in dorms alone. Yes. So let's talk about this a little bit. The coaches were there the first couple of seasons with the players, but now again, we talked about a little bit earlier, so we can dive into a little bit more. Brian alluded to it, but he's talking about, Rhule talked about the player-led team. That's what they're trying to get to. And in 2023, specifically, Rhule said it's going to start out more of us, less of them. And then it's going to be like accountability and everything. Then it's going to be more of them, less of us towards the end of this process. And that's kind of where we are in the process. So with it being player led, even when they break the teams up into sections, again, that's being more player led. They're very hands off with that as well. And, stuff like this is an opportunity for them. The players came up and asked them if they would not come this time. And so they obliged to it because they feel like, the players are asking for their trust to be able to do this and have it be a team thing more so than the teams and coaches, just a player, kind of bond thing. And that, they can be in the dorms alone. So I think Rhule, he talked about he had no problem doing that. And I think that's kind of what he wanted. I think that's ultimately what he wanted from this was the team to kind of be able to lead each other, stick together. And, again, through all that, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but he transitions over into talking about how leaders kind of arise, especially when he's talking about the single digits and stuff like that. All of this is a lead up to that single digit vote too. Like these guys are learning so much about each other, being around each other this much without having coaches around to, maybe them feel like they can't talk about certain things and stuff like that, So I think it's really good for them.
I would 100% agree. When you can have a culture that is built through the players, by the players, without the need of the coach, there's probably some guidance along the way, but it will set this goes the way we think and the way we hope, it'll set Nebraska up for futures to come. Now, I'm not saying you'll go on a generational run, but you'll start having that culture get passed down year to year to year. And it's going to be great. Oh, new member. Let's go.
The other Dave. Let's go. The other Dave. Shout out. Bam, bam, bam. I don't have that audio interface plugged in, but I need to plug it back in. Appreciate you becoming a member, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate you, brother. All right. So let's see here. I remember when we challenge every year for the conference and national championship. Yeah, we do too. What's up, Justin, Brian in the chat? Great to hear from you guys on this Husker Talk Tuesday, best show on YouTube. Hey, I appreciate you, David. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Y'all are awesome, for real. Bone Leg Corn-Fed Unity Council. Anywhere on the eyes after tweak something yesterday? I just noticed it was a hamstring, but yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Gutter boogers. Ives down again. Jovu, hey, Pit Snipe, don't come in rubbing it in, all right? Rhule did make it clear they did some fakes. Yeah, they did a couple. He did talk about that. Mm-hmm. But still, like, he's putting it in their head that there's going to be more than that.
That's the whole point of it. They could have done no fakes, but he's going to still say it because they're going to at some point.
All right, hear me out. Okay, hear me out on this. What happens if, against Cincinnati, we're up at halftime and he comes out and breaks the curse, kicks an onside kick, and breaks the curse that was the Northwestern onside kick? Are you for that or against it?
You know, he's going to look like a genius if they execute, and he's going to look like an idiot if what happened in Ireland.
Does he get run out of town if that happens?
Just don't let it derail your entire season. We'll be all right.
I don't know how anybody recovers from that.
The difference between like Rhule and Frost in that situation is Rhule's going to trust that his defense is going to grab them by the throats and slowly squeeze.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the difference, I think.
It's PTSD, bro. Still.
Yeah.
We're all going to be so scared that second half. Man, I'm telling you, Harburg on special teams or on fakes on special teams gets them the ball. Yeah, but so that's what we have. That's our punter for. And we're going to put Harburg out there on like, you got to understand, too, they got the special teams out there specifically for a unit because they each play a role in that, too. Yeah. And
it's not like EA Sports and you can just plug in Harburg as the holder on like a field goal and then run a fake field goal pass.
Well, and Rhule's talking about getting Harburg up to taking like hits, more hits. And I doubt he's going to want him taking more on special teams, potentially. Who knows? He may throw him out there, but I doubt he's going to want him taking those extra hits. Depends on how much he plans on using them on offense and defense, I would assume. So maybe if he's not getting snaps there, but still. There's a chance. Her mark weight, yeah. So Rhule talked about him hitting 21 miles an hour. Yeah, about 6'4", 260. So big dude that can move, super athletic, and that's why I think like he's going to be up there on the depth chart just because he is a pretty good all-around tight end. He's not exceptional with his receiving, but obviously he's big and can move, and really good with his blocking. So,
and he can move people.
Yeah, that's Matt Rhule made specifically to mention that that he can move bodies because he is a big dude. Kick returns maybe, yeah, but still like that's big hits. That's taking some big hits, bro. Like
Harburg's fast, but they call him Spirit. Is it Spirit, right? Because he runs like a horse.
Yeah, because
you need a guy that can get up and going quick
through his. Yeah, he's galloping. He's got to get up to speed. When he does, he's fast as all get out. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like he's long and athletic. That's not where you don't need long and athletic as a return man. You need agility. You need separation. You need guys who can move,
vision,
quick, agility. Yeah. They got to see gaps, hit gaps quick, and they just got to go. They got to have an explosive first step and be able to just get that ball and go. There's no time in there to get up to speed.
Yeah. And kick return, you have to make like the first maybe guy or two miss, and then you can bust a big return. If you don't, then typically you're looking at like a 17 to 21, 22-yard return, which is right where Nebraska averaged last year, and they were terrible at kick returns.
Yep. Vacation enemy territory to cool down, Colorado. That's what's up. I mean, I guess. Shout out to Dion, though, for recovering from whatever.
Yeah, good for him.
Whatever cancer.
I didn't even know he had cancer. He had a gallbladder cancer. No.
Cool.
Was it bladder cancer?
I don't remember.
They removed something.
But shout out to him for recovering from that, man. For real. They said they were going to go slow with Bell. Yes, absolutely. They've had a track record of going slow with guys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to watch our linebacker play. Yeah, we could talk about that a little bit more too. Because he mentioned, overall loving the defense, and he was talking about, how some people are talking about. I always want I'm just I hope it's never us. When he's talking about some guys are talking about the D line. No, but he did talk about how with that, the guys are replacing big shoes, but again, he just kind of reiterated his confidence in that. But the confidence in the defense overall, the secondary, the linebacker core, talk about the depth in the secondary, even talking about guys maybe penciling people in for certain spots, but maybe surprised, when it's all said and done. So, and then he mentioned the secondary. So, be interesting to see how kind of this all plays out. But yeah, he did allude to the linebackers being very good, which we had no doubt of. Which we have no doubt of.
I think it's the strongest group on the defense, if not the entire team.
I think I agree with you for sure.
Which I love me a violent linebacker,
dude. Wide receiver, yeah. I guess linebacker is more proven than our wide receiver room overall.
And just depth too.
Here, proven at Nebraska.
Yeah, 100%.
Gobble gobble. One of us, Dave. Let's see. No go for our. Let's see. Been meaning to join, but really son. Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah. I don't blame him for not knowing how it would either. No, go for the fake punt. Our punter is a beast. You mean the onside kick? Yeah, we're gonna go for a lot of fakes, and fakes. We're gonna fake fakes.
We're gonna fake the fake.
That reminds me of Bahrain. Whenever they try to sell you fake sunglasses, the third country nationals there, or we were the third country nationals, but the people that live there, they'd be come up with 2 pairs of Oakleys, and one of them's almost identical to Oakley's, and the other one's clearly knockoff, and they're like, do you want real fake or fake? And I'm like, one's $100 more. I'm like, we got real fake and then super fake here for the real cheap people. That was funny. You get hounded the entire country. Gary the Cable Guy, love the name, by the way. F Iowa. Yeah, fuck Iowa. Andrew Marshall and Ja'Cory sound like for returns. Yeah, Andrew Marshall for sure. Got him specifically for not specifically for that, but because he can do both. He can play his position well, and he can also return well.
I think we kind of penciled him in right away as a top 1 or 2 guy, kick and punt return. Primarily punt return, though, I think for Andrew.
Yes, agreed.
Ja'Cory, I think, is going to be electric at kick returns.
100%, absolutely. I was brainstorming for Heinrich Harburg. Gotcha.
Tight end, back. That's what he'll do.
Yeah, let's go through some other things too. He specifically talked about the single digits. But then the last thing that I want to kind of go through is when he was talking through the overall, like I said, the players policing each other, and then kind of getting into situationally how that played out during the season, last season, and how they learned from certain moments. But first thing, too, I want to talk about Gatula. He did talk about Gatula's progression. I want to make sure we throw that in there. Talked about, looking great with his size and stuff like that. But then also talked about the mental aspect of recovery. And I've talked about that before, but just kind of the biggest benefit of that, I ruptured my right bicep twice, and then I had nerve damage in my second surgery, and I couldn't move my fingers. So I had to have a third surgery, and it took me 4 months to be able to move my fingers again. And so, but he was talking about each of those small steps, being, appreciating those type of things, kind of, when that's progression. And then, how much stronger that makes you on the back end when you feel alone and all that stuff. You come out and now you're back ready, to go, ready to go 100%, and how much stronger that makes you out there, because now you appreciate every opportunity. You're like, okay, each moment I'm out here, is a privilege. I could lose that at any time. So I think that's kind of what he was talking about. So, I think what he alluded to is right. Gatula's going to come back stronger, ready to go. And he talked about just kind of how he can play up and down that line. But any thoughts on the Gatula stuff?
He was your starting left tackle at the beginning of practice on Monday. It was Gatula, Lutovsky, Justin, Rocco, and Tyler Knack.
Yep.
Which I think both of those are a little bit shocked on the tackles. I think everyone was penciling Pritchett at your left tackle and probably Gatula at right. Now you got Tyler Knack, who seems to really have gotten a stranglehold on the right tackle, and Gatula is charging for that left tackle spot. So
Pritchett looks.
That's what I noticed the most.
Pritchett looks good too. So
Nebraska doesn't have a problem at tackle for the first time in a while.
Exactly. So yeah, good to see kind of his progression there. Yeah, and I did talk about, I just mentioned some word on Pritchett talking about him looking okay. But let's go kind of up into kind of what I was talking about, what we were talking about with the player-led teams. Hold on, let me get down to some of these comments here about Oakley's when they were marketed like a Columbia House, 3 pairs for $5, and they keep showing up. Can't be touched. I love that song. Torn bicep. Yeah, I ruptured it twice. I ruptured it December of 2021 in sparring. I was throwing a punch and my arm got extended, and then this right here snapped, and then my bicep rolled up, retracted 7 inches. So they had to go in there and like cut it, pull it, like anchor it to a bone, and then I re-ruptured it. So I had to have surgery a year later exactly, and then that's when I got the damage, nerve damage. Could move my hand. So I started learning piano because work let me go when I was in occupational therapy, and so I was trying to rehab my hand. I'm like, how can I do this? I was like, I'll play piano. Screw it. Get the fine motor skills back. But I am back. Yeah, I ruptured it twice in boxing, and I've torn my lat in boxing as well. It's not an easy sport, man. Wonder what Pritchett did or didn't do to start off with the twos.
I wouldn't think of it as did or didn't do. It's what Gatula did.
I don't think we should. And to the depth charts right now, I don't think we're anywhere near being able to say who's going to be where. On like
depth they can change by this time next week.
Yeah, they're not even thinking about that right now. I tore my meniscus when I played football in school. Yeah, that was rougher back in the day because the surgeries weren't as good back then. So, All right. Now talking a little bit about what we were talking about with the player-led team. He's talking about diffuse leadership is what he said. And so, when they have the player-led teams where, they break them up into different sections of the field and the coaches aren't there, you have some guys that are kind of usually picked up as leaders. But I think this is the most important part of kind of what he was talking about, because I think this is what we're talking about when we say the winning tone and the final touches, as opposed to what it was before. I took some notes here of like a comparison, from fall camp press conferences 2023. And back then it was emphasis on building foundations, starting with discipline and learning to win. Stressed kind of learning accountability, growing through mistakes, and evolving at the bowl eligible stage. He says at the end of the day, offensive football is about getting the ball in the hands of the guys who can make plays. When we block it for 4, it needs to become 12. Like, they need to make more of a team aspect and more of a team effort, and they're working towards that. Talked about younger guys, younger offense catching up to the experience, defense and stressing internal development, resilience, and just kind of learning basic execution. And then, now it's kind of like, he talks about final details. I just kind of thought it was interesting to go back and look at the tone and the words he says as opposed to that, because now he's like, again, diffusing the leadership, the standard raised between the players, and now they're out there, they were learning accountability and growing through mistakes and learning how to, coexist and get the younger guys caught up. Now they're keeping each other caught up, and this is kind of, I think this is the biggest part of why Nebraska is going to be so much better, next year, is because the buildup of this. And, what happens when things are hard specifically is what he mentioned. And like, who's on the field with you, in those moments when things are hard. Your coaches are not there with you to like be able to like get you locked in. Your mind's going to quit way before your body, you know. Who's going to be the ones out there that can, you know, calm the parasympathetic nervous system, calm the panic breathing, get that fight or flight down, and be able to lock in that moment, you know, calm your heart rate and be able to, you know, who are those guys that are going to lead you to be able to do that and get you up, you know, on a play where you don't feel like getting up, and push the most out of you on that next play. You know, he talked about the tough conversations with each other, like, this isn't going to get it done. You know, this isn't going to cut it specifically. And before I go into like the specific games that he mentioned, do you have any comment on that aspect of it?
You know, I think part of being successful is everyone has to be on the same page, speaking the same tune. And that's really big, as you saw from Big Ten Media Days to now. The players are now speaking the same lingo as Coach Rhule, and so now that's going to permeate throughout the entire offense, the entire defense and special team. So when you're in that fourth down and it's the fourth quarter, you should have expunged all of the woe was me, all of the here we go again, we're down in the fourth quarter. I think Nebraska in the last 6 months has probably done a better job at building up that motivational fit, that narrative that we're no longer this woe was me program. It's now permeated throughout the entire team. Now when you're in that situation, Dylan's going to say, hey, just get open and I'll get you the ball. Or Emmett's going to say, make the block and I'll get the first.
Yep. Now think about this as a big picture thing. Like I kind of like to think about things below the surface or surface on surface. Like think about the culture now of the players that are looking to come to Nebraska. You know, before, you know, when they came to Nebraska, it was like, okay, this is a team, you know, they come and see a team learning the basics, the coach, you know, coach-led team, stuff like that, very hands-on. Now think of being a player coming on and visiting a team like where you're getting peer recruited like crazy, but also like you see the team like is so bonded and they lead each other and Rhule can be hands-off, you know, Holgorsen can be hands-on when he needs to, stuff like that. I feel like as a recruit coming in too, that's the type of team that you kind of want to play for, you know? So just even the look of the overall program as these recruits come in and kind of see what Nebraska has to offer, I think that's going to go a long way, because we saw during the Colorado game, you know, recruits getting in there and how cool that was for them to see that locker room. Now, just think about that even more so, you know, on a weekly schedule, on a weekly, you know, basis, with a team that's even more locked into each other, you know, and big moments and down moments that permeates to the sideline. You know, who's going to be firing up the sideline? You know, and maybe we can go to the situations here, because talked about the 13-6 Ohio State going in the half and how they were so happy in the locker room to be in the game. You know, what are your thoughts on that? Because he was talking about, you know, it's just like felt like a revival is what he called it.
Yeah, and I think he said UCLA, which was
I was about to get in that one next. Because that was kind of the counterpoint where he said they were down, they were getting booed off the field, down, locker room was sad and flat, and like Rhule couldn't get them locked in and wanted them to take control over it. But yeah, I'll let you elaborate a little bit before I jump in on that. So
the way I look at it is like that Ohio State game, is you mentioned they're excited to just be in the game. They think they're going to win. That, while it's good they're excited that, you know, we're playing really well, we're in this game, the thought process has to shift from we've got a chance to we're going to go out and win this. Yeah. We're not excited to be in the game. We're pissed off that we're down a score at half when we should be up a point or two, and slowly getting that shift. And then, like we alluded to with the UCLA game, when the tides are shifted and you're getting your asses beat at home, you're getting booed off the field, and now it's woe is me, your head's down. You have to be able to manage both the extremes, the good, the bad. And that's where they struggled with last year, and you hope to see that turn going into this next season.
Indiana game, they even admitted it, and we could tell, we knew it. Like, but like that was embarrassing, and I think they don't want to feel that ever again. So that's another motivation. Like a lot of these bad moments last year, like I know it's a cliche, like you know, you win or you learn, but honestly, in the building phases, and that's why like everybody stressed, like, or tried to stress, and Matt Rhule tried to stress, it's year 2. You know, just wait, because they needed to learn those lessons. But now we have a team that's learning from the lessons. And it feels like we finally have a team that's learning from the lessons because there was progression. I think that's what we didn't have before. We didn't see any trending in the tone of the coaching staff. We heard the same thing packaged, rinsed, and repeated over and over and over. And like, we weren't seeing any of this stuff we could talk on. We're like, oh, we got a lot of talent coming in this year. We got, we learned a lot last year. We were very close. And then next year we were very close, but we learned a lot, but we didn't. We never literally made that improvement. And so I think that's the biggest part here is kind of hearing that. And he talked about listening from all the outside noise and stuff like that. And I want to bring up a specific team here. Think about Michigan in 2023. That was a team that was completely locked away from the outside noise, and they were getting the most outside noise there was. Whenever they were going through all that drama, the cheating and stuff like that team stuck together without their coach being there. That's what I think Rhule is trying to instill in this team, like that type of mentality where like that team policed each other. They held each other like, don't look at that, don't listen to that. That was a tough situation to be in, and they overcame that because they were that team had a lot of experience together. Their linemen, they had a ton of linemen with a ton of experience that year. JJ McCarthy was very experienced. Like that's what happens when you have guys that grow together. And that's what Matt Rhule's trying to build here is a group of guys that are like that. Like no matter what the outside noise says, even no matter what Matt Rhule says, like those guys stick together. Like even when Matt Rhule's not there, that just like whenever Sharon Moore had to take over those weeks, and oh my gosh, keeps trying to say Harburg, Harbaugh, Jesus, Harbaugh was out. Like that's why they were able to stick together and continue to win games because they had each other. They leaned on each other. So that heartbeat of the team is never removed. So yeah, that's kind of going through those things, keep playing. It's the mental aspect of it. Like before my fight, when my fight was coming up, conditioning shape, best I've ever been in. Could go in there for an hour and probably hit the bag, hit people and stuff like that. But the mental aspect of it, like, being in the fight, adrenaline pumping, everybody around you, stuff like that. Like I would go to the pool, get my heart rate up, hold my breath underwater for long periods of time, just create panic in my head to calm my mind down. I had 2 days a week dedicated to just panic in my mind and then putting myself in a situation where I had to calm my mind. And that's what they're drilling here. Like you learn in the battle, in the heat of the battle, and you try to come as close to simulating that as possible. And that's what the tone of this is.
And they're going to have it happen right off the rip. Game one, you're going to have a tough battle where you're going to have to be mentally strong. You're going to be on the road or in a neutral environment where there's a lot of pressure. You're going to probably be in a tight game in the fourth quarter. You saw that happen last year. Fourth quarter, the same issues you saw under Frost as you saw under the first year or two of Rhule. That's what I'm looking for most this year is what do they do in the fourth quarter? Rhule always says they want to rush for 75 yards in the fourth quarter, but they never do. So they're going to be in that situation early. The same situation they've been in for years. Fourth quarter, close the game out or go take the game. And they've very rarely been able to do it. So I want to see how they react in that situation this year, given all the quiet hype that's going on right now.
Yeah. And even like the first game of this, the reason why the first game of the season is always dangerous, first off, is not only do you not know kind of what players are going to come out like and stuff like that, but they are at their full strength. We are too, but every team comes out expecting to win that week one game, So it's a matter of balancing that, come out and expect to win that game, come out with the mindset, expect to win it, but don't come out knowing you're going to win, if that makes sense. Like they got to make sure that they come into that game. And I think this is the type of team that's going to play with a chip on their shoulder every single week without a doubt in my mind. And I think that we're going to see this team grow so much over the course of the season because they're going to be playing with that chip on their shoulder and they're going to have to lean on each other.
100%.
So 1 second, I'm going to put this in the chat. So I'm going to be over on the Generation Red podcast at 7:30 Central. So in about 30 minutes after I get off here, I'm going to put the link in here for y'all as if y'all can click that, let me know. If not, just go to Gen Red Pod on YouTube, I think, or on X too, and Generation Red Podcast on YouTube. So just in case you want to check that out, I think we're going over some schedule stuff and predicting some stuff. So feels good to have some depth on the O-line. It's been a long time. Exactly. It would really suck if it turns out that Uncle Donnie can't coach up an elite line. I have all the confidence in the world in him, to be honest.
Big year for him.
Who wants to play for the money and wants to play to win? If we will find out. Yeah, exactly. Change your mindset. I hope we don't lose. We expect to win goes a long way. 100% what I was kind of alluding to. Expect to win. Don't feel like, the win's going to fall into your hands. Don't feel like you're owed to win. That sucks bone. I was strained to the sprained guy for almost every joint. If the team internally expects to be in the playoffs, they should always expect to win every game. Well, Matt Rhule's talked about that before too, the expectation to win every game. He's like, I think it was, I don't know if it was 2024 or I think it was 2024 where he's talking about, we have guys talking about schedule predictions or, win, loss this way, or that way. He's like, we want to go in, why not all of them? We want to go in the mindset that we're going to win every single game. So yeah, that is the mindset that they do push here. But there's also like, they know realistically at the end of the day, where they should end up. And at the same time, they don't push the expectations of like, okay, like this is where I think we're at. This is where I know we can be and we can play up to this. So let's go out and all we can control is each game one at a time. And so you go out with the expectation to win each game each time you're in there. But over the course of the season, you kind of set those expectations internally to kind of see, where the bar is at for you. But of course, every single game they go into with the mentality they're going to win it. These home games and even the KC trip is just what they need to get that mindset converted. Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah. Playing to win means more than playing for the money. We'll see who's there to win, who's here for the money. Hopefully, guys getting paid different rates doesn't create animosity. I don't think this team has one concern about who's getting paid what. I think that's part of what they're building here. It's they don't care. They want to win football games. They win football games, they'll get paid more. I think they understand that. So you start winning football games,
compensated pretty well.
More money comes to the university, more eyes come to the university, more eyes come to you.
Yep.
And so it builds from there. So good shows, guys. I am out. Appreciate it, Bone Led. Brian, is there anything that you wanted to talk? Oh, I'm echoing. Wrap the show up.
I had nothing to go over. So Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time, we'll have the Husker Gutter Call-In Show. Make sure you tune in. We'll talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. No politics. That's the only rule. So tune in Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll see you all there.